More car owners attend the Chicago Auto Show than any other American car venue.
And this week we're at Virginia International Raceway, where we'll show you the coolest camp on wheels.
When you buy a car at auction, keep in mind there are several fees added to the cost of the vehicle. It's very easy to get caught up in this buying frenzy. After months of speculation and hype, car buyers can now use the official EPA fuel economy labels to comparison shop based on a wide variety of factors. How they drive, how much they drive, and when they drive. And Motor Week will be along for part of this historic journey. How can I get that assignment? The second half of the day is by far the most exciting. This is when everyone gets dedicated track time. It's set up in a lead and follow sequence. Watch as I gun it to keep pace with the lead driver on the straightaway. A complete list of their top safety picks is available on the IIHS website. And that'll wrap it up for this week's Motor News. This Ford Escape Hybrid, decked out with fancy decals and high-tech equipment, may look like some top-secret vehicle, but for Mark Riccobono, it represents the first step towards unlimited mobility for blind people.
This is just one example of our guys saying, this is important, this is meaningful, this is going to change how people think about blindness.
For the past several months, Riccobono and his colleagues from the National Federation of the Blind have been testing out the prototype vehicle. As they test what seems to be an impossible notion, can a blind person drive a car?
A lot of people say, oh, these people in the National Federation of the Blind, they're nuts. And yet now we have another prototype. We're doing exciting things for blind people, which will have spin-off possibilities for everybody else.
Pork engineers and students from Romola, the Robotics and Mechanisms Lab, equipped the vehicle with laser scanners in the front and back to detect objects in the road, mounted cameras on the windshield to identify different lanes, a GPS antenna, and an inertial measurement unit that, when combined, paints a 3D picture of the driving environment. All this information is sent to an onboard computer to be processed. It's conveyed to the driver in real time using two non-visual user interfaces. The first one is called Drive Grip. These are specially designed gloves with vibrating motors that tell the driver which way to steer. The second device is a speed strip, which looks like a seat cushion. It has 4 pairs of vibrating motors in the back and legs to signal rate of speed information.
4 years in the making, and it all boils down to this one moment. Engineers say they're pretty confident that this technology-laden vehicle can handle the course. Now it's up to the driver to see it through.
Here at the famed Daytona International Speedway, Riccobono readies himself for the public unveiling of the Blind Driver Challenge.
Check, 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 can you hear me?
The 34-year-old offers up a final wave as he begins to navigate the course. Relying on the drive grip and speed strip, Riccobono makes his way around the 1.5-mile track. He hits a top speed of 27 miles per hour, but there are challenges that test his abilities. A box toss he must maneuver his way through, and a moving pass. It takes less than 10 minutes to complete the course.
First ever blind driver at Daytona.
Riccobono crosses the finish line with the steely determination of a blind man on a mission.
Very fulfilling that the vision of the National Federation of the Blind, that we've finally been able to put it out in the public and demonstrate the capacity of blind people in driving.
It's the kind of high
It's an easy and quick way to get money.
that triggers a depressing low.
I would find myself getting sick at the toilet. It was just because I knew the game was going off in like 5 minutes.
For nearly 2 decades, nothing could keep Michael Osborne from the thing he loved most: a good game with a winning wager.
I bet on football, I bet on hockey, basketball, pro and college sports.
Osborne says his compulsive gambling started at the age of 15 when he met a local bookie. 5 years later, he was taking other people's bets.
I had 6 TVs in my living room and 3 satellite dishes on my roof. It was like a mini ESPN zone. And I would have 50 people over to watch these games, people that would be betting through me as well.
His penchant for sports betting spiraled out of control when Osborne became a real estate agent and started stealing money from his clients' escrow accounts.
In an addiction where your drug of choice is money, I set myself up very well to have unlimited access to it. Unfortunately, it just wasn't always my money.
Charged with theft by scheme, Osborne spent 17 months in jail, shortly after he tried to commit suicide by stepping in front of a train.
I had a whole conversation in my head that if I did this, I was going to go to hell and all this stuff. But I even conversated back that that's okay because hell will be better than what I'm living today.
With the help of his wife, Osborne sought treatment at Harbor Point, a residential facility dedicated to treating compulsive gamblers. He kicked the habit and, in an ironic twist of fate,
Any messages?
became executive director of the center, sharing his life story with other addicts.
I can tell that gambler, you know what, I know where you've been, I know where you're at, and I can, if you give me 10 more minutes, I can tell you where you're going.
He worries slots will only worsen the problem.
Everyone's so gung-ho of let's just get the slots here and then we'll fix everything else. Well, it's proven in other areas it doesn't work like that. You need to be prepared for what you're bringing in.
Gambling free for 5 years, Osborne is sometimes tempted to place a bet, but he hasn't. His sole focus now is to help those still struggling with this debilitating disease.
Try to educate the public to get rid of the stigma of public ignorance that it's just harmless fun. You're right, for 93% of the country it is, but for 7%, it's a living hell.
It's a few minutes after 12, and like clockwork, there's already a room full of people at the Wagner home in Waldorf, Maryland.
Very comfortable.
They're drawn here like bees to honey, each one willing to wait their turn to get stung
It's a good one.
by the bee lady.
It is just absolutely amazing what it can do.
Pat Wagner is living proof of the benefits of bee venom. For years, she lived a listless life while struggling with multiple sclerosis.
I couldn't sit up, I couldn't roll over, I couldn't wiggle a toe.
Then in the early 90s, at the urging of her mother, Pat took a bee sting to her knee. Within 20 minutes, her lifeless leg started to warm up.
They said they didn't know what to do. They never had a situation like that. I said, I'll tell you what to do. Sting the other leg, sting this arm, sting my head, sting me all over.
Buzzing with excitement, Pat and her husband Ray set up a beehive in their own backyard. Now they're both busy as a bee, tending to the needs of people afflicted with all sorts of ailments.
I remember I was crying when I called her because just the possibility of it even partially doing anything for me, I was ecstatic about.
Kristen Cooperstock suffers from chronic fatigue syndrome. She gets stung at least once a week and is now a firm believer in the healing effect of honeybees.
I am no longer on any technical chemical medication whatsoever for the chronic fatigue at all. And it was definitely the bee venom that made that possible.